Disclaimer.
I told them, you don't need saving.
My name is Darnell Thompson. I am 34 years old.
Yeah.
I died for 11 minutes on January 3rd, 2024 in Detroit, Michigan.
For years, I built my life on a single belief that I could become better through sheer willpower. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. I was a fitness trainer, a motivational coach, someone people looked up to every January when they wanted to transform their lives. I had the body, the business, the brand. 15,000 followers watched me every morning as I preached discipline, consistency, and the power of choice. I told them they could be anything they decided to be. I believed it with everything in me. But there was something I did not tell them, something I barely admitted to myself. I was exhausted, deeply, soul-level exhausted. Every day felt like a performance I could not stop. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, not because I wanted to, but because that is what successful people do. I prepped on Sundays, tracked every macro, filmed every workout, and responded to every message. My life was a machine, and I was proud of it. I went to church most Sundays, sat in the third row, nodded during the sermons about grace and surrender. But the moment I walked out those doors, I went right back to my system. My plans, my goals, my grind. I told myself I was serving God by inspiring others. I told myself my success was a testimony. But if I am honest, I prayed less every year. My Bible sat on my nightstand, under a stack of business books with titles like Atomic Habits and the 5 a.m. Club. I skimmed a verse here and there when I needed content for a post, but I did not sit with God anymore. I did not need to. I had everything under control. Or so I thought. December 31st, 2023. I spent that night alone in my apartment. Not a watch night service, but editing my biggest campaign yet. The new year, new you challenge. 6 weeks of transformation. Meal plans, workout routines, accountability groups, all for $197. I was expecting over 300 signups. This was going to be my best year. I stayed up until 2 in the morning perfecting the sales page, writing captions that would hit people right in their guilt and hope. I remember looking at my reflection on the black screen of my laptop after I hit publish. I looked tired, older than 34, but I smiled anyway, told myself it would all be worth it. January 1st came. Signups poured in. My phone would not stop buzzing. I filmed 3 videos that day, each one more energetic than the last. I told people they had the power to change. I told them discipline was freedom. I told them this was their year. And I believed it because it had worked for me. I transformed my life. I went from being a kid in Detroit who barely graduated high school to a man who owned his own business. No one gave me that. I earned it. I worked for it. I built it with my own 2 hands. But deep down, underneath all the motivation and momentum, something was wrong. I felt it in quiet moments, like when I was alone in my car or lying in bed at night. A heaviness I could not name. A sense that I was drifting further from something I used to know. I used to feel God. I used to sense His presence when I prayed. But now, when I closed my eyes and said a quick prayer before bed, I felt nothing. Just silence. Just my own voice echoing back to me. I ignored it. I had too much to do. January 3rd, 2024. Wednesday morning. I woke up feeling off. My chest felt tight like someone was pressing down on it. I thought it was stressful. Maybe I had not eaten enough the day before. I drank some water, did some stretches, and told myself I was fine. I had to film the welcome video for the challenge participants. I set up my ring light in my home gym, positioned my phone on the tripod, and checked the angle. I looked good, strong, confidence. I hit a record. I did not remember everything I said in that video, but I remember one line clearly. I was talking about the power of choice, about how we all have the ability to become the best version of ourselves. I said it with so much conviction. I believed it. I looked right into the camera and said, "You do not need anyone to save you. You just need to decide." And then the pain hit. Sharp. Suddenly. Like something inside my chest snapped. I stopped mid-sentence, my hand instinctively going to my sternum. I tried to take a breath, but it felt like my lungs were collapsing. The room tilted. My vision blurred. I thought, just sit down. Just breathe. This will pass. but my legs gave out before I could move. I hit the floor hard, my shoulders slamming against the weight bench. The phone was still recording. I could see the red light blinking. I tried to reach for it, tried to stop the recording, but my arm would not move. Everything slowed down. My heart beat, loud, uneven, pounding in my ears like a drum that was losing rhythm. Then it stopped. Just stopped. And the world went silent. I was still awake, still aware, but I was not in my body anymore. I floated above myself. And for the first time in years, I was completely still. No schedule running through my mind. No notifications pulling at my attention. Just silence. A kind of silence I had not felt since I was a child. It was almost peaceful. Almost. I looked down. My body was on the floor, one arm stretched out, face turned toward the camera. My eyes were half open, but there was no life in them. My chest was not moving. The ring light was still on, casting a harsh white glow over everything. The phone kept recording. I could see the red timer counting up. 30 seconds. 40. 50. I was dead, and my phone was still filming me. I should have been panicking. I should have been screaming, trying to get back into my body. But I was not. I was watching, detached, like I was looking at someone else. That person on the floor, the one who spent every morning telling people they could be better, who measured his worth in photos and profit margins. I did not recognize him. He looked small, empty, like a shell that had been performing for so long it forgot what it was performing for. I tried to speak, but I had no voice. I tried to move, but I had no body. I was just presence, just awareness. And in that awareness, something shifted. The apartment around me started to fade. The walls, the equipment, the ring light, all of it dimmed like someone was lowering the brightness on the world. The colors drained out. Everything turned gray, cold. And then I felt it. A pull. Not a physical pull, something deeper. Something inside me, tugging downward. I tried to resist it, tried to stay where I was, but I had no strength. No anchor. The pull grew stronger, and I realized with creeping horror that I was not in control. I had spent my entire adult life controlling everything: my body, my schedule, my image, my future. But now, I was being moved by something I could not fight. The pull became a drag. I was no longer floating. I was being drawn downward, away from my apartment, away from my body, into something dark. The grayness thickened into blackness. Heavy, oppressive. The air, if I could even call it air, grew hot. Not all at once, but slowly, like walking toward an oven that had been left open. I could feel it pressing against me, even though I had no skin. Heat rising in waves from below. I tried to call out, tried to pray, but the words would not come. My mind was blank, scrambling for something to hold on to, but I had nothing. No scripture mimeist. No prayers I actually believed. Just panic, just fear, just the awful realization that I was not ready for this. The darkness was not empty. I could feel movement in it, shadows shifting, not random, purposeful, like they were watching me, waiting, and then I heard it, a sound that made every part of me freeze. A scream, distant, faint, but unmistakable. Then another, and another. Dozens of voices crying out in the distance, their sounds overlapping into a low, terrible chorus of suffering. The heat grew stronger. I could see a faint glow below me now, orange flickering like embers buried under ash. The smell hit me next. Smoke. Burning. Sweat. Something sharp and bitter that made me want to gag, even though I had no throat. I was descending faster now, pulled deeper into the heat and the noise and the darkness. I wanted to close my eyes, but I had no eyelids. I wanted to turn away, but I had no body to turn. I could only move where I was being taken. And I knew, this was not a nightmare. This was not my imagination. This was real, more real than anything I had ever experienced. Somewhere far above me, my body was still on the floor of my gym. My phone was still recording. But I was here, in this place. And the deeper I went, the more I understood a truth that shattered everything I had built my life on. I was not in control. I never had been. And all the discipline, all the willpower, all the effort I had poured into becoming the best version of myself, none of it mattered now. I heard chains, soft clinking sounds like metal dragging across stone. Closer now. And voices not screaming anymore but groaning. Low, tired, hopeless. I could feel the weight of this place pressing down on me, not just physically but spiritually. A heaviness that made me feel like I was being crushed under the weight of every choice I had ever made, every word I had ever spoken, every moment I had chosen myself over God. And then, just as the heat became unbearable, just as I thought I could not take another second of this descent, I felt something else. A presence. Not human, not physical. Something that existed beyond sight, beyond sound. It was not comforting. It was not gentle. It was truth itself, standing beside me, waiting. And deep inside, something whispered, "This is where truth begins." The descent stopped. I was no longer falling. I was standing, or whatever version of standing exists when you have no body. The darkness thinned just enough for me to see where I was. And what I saw made every part of me want to disappear. The ground beneath me looked like hardened ash mixed with stone that had been burned over and over until it turned black. Cracks ran through it, glowing faint orange from underneath, like embers that never died. Heat rose in waves, not all at once, but steady, relentless. The kind of heat that does not burn your skin because you have no skin, but presses against your soul, making you feel like you're being slowly cooked from the inside out. The air was thick, heavy. It smelled like smoke mixed with sweat and something metallic, like blood that had been left to dry in the sun. I tried to breathe, even though I did not need to, and the weight of this place filled whatever space my lungs used to occupy. It felt like drowning in heat. Flames rose around me, but they were not like fire I had ever seen. They burned silently. No crackling, no roaring, just slow, steady flames that moved like they had intention, like they were alive. And they did not consume anything. They just burned, endlessly. I looked around, and that is when I saw them. Souls, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, scattered across this gray, ash-covered wasteland. And every single one of them was alone. Completely, terribly alone. There was no community here. No groups huddled together for comfort. Just isolation. Each person locked in their own private torment, surrounded by others but unable to reach them. And what they were doing, it broke something in me. They were not screaming. They were not running in panic. They were working, straining, pushing, grinding. I saw a man on a treadmill that went nowhere, his legs moving in steady rhythm, sweat pouring down his face, but the belt beneath him just cycled endlessly. He never moved forward, never stopped, just ran, forever. His eyes were hollow, empty, like he had forgotten why he was running, but could not stop. I saw a woman lifting weights, her arms shaking with effort, raising a barbell over her head again and again. But nothing changed. Her muscles did not grow. Her strength did not increase. She just lifted, set it down, lifted again, over and over. The futility of it was crushing to watch. I saw others writing on pieces of paper, their hands moving frantically, filling page after page with goals and plans and resolutions. But the moment they finished writing, the paper would catch fire, crumble to ash, and they would start again. Writing, burning, writing, burning. An endless cycle of effort that produced nothing. They were all doing what I had taught people to do. Striving, grinding, pushing, trying to become better through sheer effort. But here, in this place, it was exposed for what it really was. Futility. A treadmill to nowhere. A weight that built nothing. A goal that never materialized. And the worst part, the part that made my soul want to collapse, was that I recognized them. Not their faces, but their spirit. These were not evil people. These were not murderers or abusers or monsters. These were people like me. People who believed they could save themselves. People who trusted their own strength more than God's grace. People who made an idol out of self-improvement. The suffering here was not loud. It was not chaotic. It was quiet, heavy. It was the weight of realizing you spent your entire life building something that meant nothing. The weight of knowing you chose yourself over God, and now you were stuck with that choice. forever. I wanted to look away, but I could not. I wanted to close my eyes, but I had no eyelids. I could only stand there, surrounded by the consequences of the very thing I had preached for years. And the realization hit me like a physical blow. This is where my teaching leads. This is what I built. This is my legacy. I opened my mouth to speak, to scream, to beg for this to stop, but no sound came out. I had no voice here, no power, no control. I was as helpless as everyone else in this place. And then everything shifted. The air changed. The oppressive heat did not lessen, but something else entered the space. A presence, not physical, not visible, but undeniable. I felt it before I understood it. A weight that was different from the crushing pressure of hell. This weight was authority, holiness, truth itself. It did not announce itself. It did not need to. I knew immediately that I was standing in the presence of something infinitely greater than me, something that saw everything, knew everything, and could not be deceived or manipulated or impressed. I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. I wanted to hide, but there was nothing to hide behind. Every secret thought I ever had, every motive I ever buried, every moment I performed instead of surrendered. It was all exposed, laid bare. I was standing naked before truth, and there was nothing I could do about it. The presence did not speak with a voice I could hear. It spoke directly to my soul. The words formed inside me, undeniable and clear. You taught them to trust themselves. I wanted them to trust me. The simplicity of those words was devastating. No accusation, no anger, just truth. And truth was heavier than any condemnation could ever be, because I could not argue with it. I could not defend myself. I could not explain it away. It was just true. I saw it all in that moment. Every video I filmed where I told people they had everything they needed inside them. Every caption I wrote about the power of choice and discipline and willpower. Every coaching session where I pushed someone to dig deeper, try harder, be stronger. I thought I was empowering them. I thought I was helping them. But I was teaching them to depend on themselves instead of God. I wanted to respond, to say something, to defend my intentions, but the words died before they could form. Because my intentions did not matter. The impact did. And the impact was this: people trusting their own strength. People believing they could transform themselves through effort. People replacing surrender with striving. The presence moved closer. I felt it, even though I could not see it. And then it did something I did not expect. It reached toward me. Not with a hand, but with something deeper. A spiritual gesture. And suddenly, a curtain lifted. My vision expanded. I was no longer just seeing the souls around me. I was seeing beyond this place. Beyond hell. I was seeing the world I left behind. And I was seeing the truth I had refused to see while I was alive. I saw churches, thousands of them, packed with believers on New Year's Eve, celebrating watch night services. But the celebrations felt wrong. They looked like motivational seminars more than worship gatherings. I saw pastors on stages preaching messages about goal setting and vision boards and claiming your year. I heard them quote scripture, but only the verses about victory and strength and overcoming. Never about weakness. Never about surrender. Never about dying to self. I saw small groups gathered in living rooms, believers holding hands, praying together. But the prayers were all about blessing their plans. God, help me lose weight this year. God, help me get that promotion. God, bless my business. God, make this my best year yet. They were not asking God what he wanted. They were telling him what they wanted and asking him to co-sign it. I saw Christian influencers, people just like me, posting content about New Year, New You, about transformation, about becoming the best version of yourself. And thousands of believers were eating it up, sharing it, believing it. They thought they were being inspired. They did not realize they were being deceived. I saw the pattern repeat, year after year after year. January came, and believers made resolutions. They promised God they would read the Bible more, pray more, serve more. But the promises were rooted in self-effort, not surrender. They were not saying, God, transform me. They were saying, God, watch me transform myself. And when they failed, when February came and the motivation faded and the resolutions crumbled, they did not run to God for grace. They felt shame, guilt, failure, and they told themselves they just needed to try harder next year. The cycle continued, and with every cycle, they drifted further from dependence on God and deeper into dependence on themselves. They stopped asking for His strength and started relying on their own. They stopped seeking His will and started chasing their own dreams. They stopped worshiping Him and started worshiping their potential. And the enemy, I could sense him in this vision, not as a figure but as a strategy. The enemy was thrilled because he did not need to make them deny Jesus. He just needed to make them trust themselves more than they trusted Jesus. He did not need to pull them away from church. He just needed to make church feel like a self-help seminar. He did not need to destroy their faith. He just needed to redirect it from God to self. I saw millions of believers trapped in this cycle. Good people, sincere people, people who loved God, but had been taught that transformation came from discipline instead of surrender. People who prayed, but never sat in silence long enough to hear God's voice. People who read the Bible, but only highlighted the verses that supported their goals. And I realized, I did this. I taught this. I built a career on this. I made content that got thousands of shares because it told people what they wanted to hear. You are strong. You are capable. You have everything you need. You can do this. And they loved me for it. They praised me. They paid me. They called me a blessing. But I was leading them away from the only source of life. The presence spoke again, and this time the words cut deeper. This is what you taught them: to trust their willpower more than my grace. To believe transformation comes from discipline instead of surrender. You made them think they could save themselves if they just tried hard enough. I felt myself breaking, shattering. Every defense I had crumbled. Every justification I could have made dissolved. I was wrong. Completely, devastatingly wrong. The vision shifted again. I saw where this path led. Not everyone who set New Year's resolutions ended up in hell, but those who made an idol of self-improvement, those who replaced God with their own effort, those who trusted themselves more than they trusted Him. I saw their trajectory. I saw the pride that grew with every success, the independence that felt like strength but was actually rebellion. The slow, subtle shift from God is my source till I am strong. And I saw the end of that road. The moment they stood before God, confident in their transformation, proud of their progress, ready to show Him everything they had accomplished. And I heard the words they would hear, words that made my soul tremble. I never knew you, not because they did not believe in Jesus, but because they believed in themselves more. The presence spoke once more, and these words broke me completely. They do not need a better version of themselves. They need death to themselves and life to me. And I understood, finally, painfully, fully. The gospel I had been preaching was not the gospel at all. It was self-help dressed in Christian language. It was the American dream baptized in Scripture. It was pride wearing the mask of inspiration. I was not helping people follow Jesus. I was helping them follow themselves. The vision did not stop. It did not give me time to process or recover. It intensified. The presence was not done showing me the truth. And now, the mirror turned inward. I saw myself, not the version I showed the world, not the highlight reel, not the carefully curated image I built on social media. I saw the real me, the moments I had forgotten, the moments I had justified, the moments I had buried under layers of performance and success. I saw January 1st, 2019. I was in my apartment, sitting on the edge of my bed, about to launch my first New Year transformation challenge. I remember that moment. I thought I was being faithful. I knelt down and prayed before I hit publish on the sales page. I asked God to bless the program. I asked Him to bring the right people. I asked Him to use me to change lives. But I saw it now, really saw it, and the truth was ugly. I was not asking God if I should do it. I was telling God what I was going to do and asking Him to bless it. I did not seek His will. I announced my plan and expected His approval. That prayer was not surrender. It was a demand disguised as humility. I saw my own face in that moment, eyes closed, hands folded, words flowing smoothly. And underneath the prayer, I saw my real heart. Ambition. Pride. The belief that I had figured out how to help people and God just needed to get on board. I did not want his guidance. I wanted his endorsement. The memory shifted. June 2020. A woman named Shanice. She was in my online coaching program, paying me $200 a month for accountability and guidance. She sent me a message late one night. I remember it clearly now. She said she was struggling with depression. She said she had been praying, but felt like God was silent. She said she did not know what to do. I see my response now. I typed it quickly, confidently, like I had the answer. Sometimes God is quiet because he's waiting for you to take action. Stop waiting for a sign and just decide. You have the power to change your situation. Don't wait for God to do what he's given you the ability to do yourself. I thought I was empowering her. I thought I was helping her take responsibility. But I see it now. I taught her to stop listening for God. I taught her that his silence meant she should stop waiting and start moving on her own. I taught her to trust herself instead of trusting his timing. I do not know what happened to Shanice. She left the program 2 months later. But I see now what I did. I pushed her away from dependence on God and toward dependence on herself. And I got paid for it. The memory shifted again. December 2021. Sunday morning. I was sitting in church, third row like always. My pastor was preaching about rest, about Sabbath, about the danger of constant striving. He said that God does not need our hustle. He said that rest is not laziness, it is trust. He said that we are human beings, not human doings, and God is more interested in who we are than what we accomplish. I felt the Holy Spirit press on me during that sermon. I felt the quiet whisper in my soul telling me to slow down, to stop creating so much content, to step back from the constant filming and posting and performing, to just sit with God, to be still. But I reasoned my way out of it. I told myself that I was being faithful with the platform God gave me. I told myself that people were counting on me. I told myself that slowing down would mean letting people down. I quoted scripture to myself. Do not grow weary in doing good. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. I convinced myself that the conviction I felt was just the enemy trying to stop my progress. I left church that day and went straight home to film 3 videos. One about discipline, one about consistency, one about pushing through when you do not feel like it. And thousands of people watched those videos and said I inspired them. But I was running from God and teaching others to do the same. The memory shifted faster now. September 2022. I was invited to speak at a youth conference in Grand Rapids. 200 teenagers packed into a church gymnasium. They wanted me to talk about purpose and vision. I prepared a message about goal setting, about dreaming big, about writing down your vision and making it plain. The night before the event, I sat in my hotel room going over my notes. And I felt it again, that quiet hesitation, that sense that I should preach something different, something about surrender, something about seeking God's will instead of chasing your own dreams. But I ignored it. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself the message I prepared was solid. I told myself the teenagers needed practical tools, not abstract theology. I delivered that message the next day. I was energetic, charismatic, funny. The teenagers loved it. They cheered. They took notes. They posted about it on social media with hashtags like blessed and inspired and purpose-driven. Youth pastors came up to me afterwards and thanked me. One of them said I gave those kids exactly what they needed to hear. But I see it now. I taught them to worship their potential. I taught them to trust their plans. I taught them that God's purpose for their lives was whatever they decided it should be. I handed them the same poisoned fruit that Adam and Eve ate. The belief that they could be like God, that they could define good and evil, success and failure, purpose and meaning, all on their own. And they ate it because I made it look faithful. The memories kept coming. Every January of my adult life, every vision board I made, every goal I set, every resolution I declared. I saw myself standing in front of mirrors, flexing, taking progress photos, posting them with captions about dedication and hard work and becoming the best version of yourself. I saw myself at the gym, pushing through exhaustion, ignoring my body's signals to rest because rest felt like weakness. I saw myself ignoring my family during the holidays because I had content to create. I saw myself skipping small group because I had clients to coach. I saw myself scrolling through my Bible app, looking for verses that supported my message instead of reading scripture to be transformed by it. I saw a decade of my life built on a foundation of self-worship, and I called it ministry. The presence did not speak, but I felt the weight of the truth pressing down on me, heavier than the heat, heavier than the atmosphere of hell, the weight of seeing myself clearly for the first time. I was not helping people. I was not serving God. I was building a brand. I was growing a platform. I was making a name for myself. And I used Jesus as a marketing tool to make it all seem righteous. The most painful part, the part that shattered whatever was left of my pride, was seeing the influence. I saw the faces of people who followed me, people who bought my programs, people who watched my videos, people who trusted me, and I saw how my teaching shaped them. I saw a young man in Ohio who used to spend an hour every morning in prayer. But after watching my content, he cut his prayer time to 15 minutes so he could spend more time working out. He told himself he was honoring God with his body, but he stopped hearing God's voice. I saw a woman in Texas who used to volunteer at her church's food pantry every Saturday. But after joining my coaching program, she stopped volunteering because Saturday became her meal prep day. She told herself she needed to take care of herself first before she could serve others. But she never went back to serving. I saw a teenager in Florida who used to worship with his whole heart. But after hearing me speak at that conference, he became obsessed with his future. He made a 5-year plan. He set goals. He worked toward them relentlessly. And he stopped worshiping because worship felt like wasted time when he could be working toward his dreams. I did that. I caused that. I led them away from God and toward themselves. And I got praised for it. I got paid for it. I built a career on it. The voice spoke again, and this time was not explaining. It was simply stating the truth I already knew. You replaced my power with your performance. You taught them to trust themselves. And now they are lost, not because they did not believe in me, but because they believed in themselves more. If I could have collapsed, I would have. If I could have wept, I would have sobbed until I had nothing left. But I had no body to collapse with, no tears to cry, just the crushing, unbearable weight of truth. I was wrong about everything. My entire adult life was built on a lie, and I taught that lie to thousands of people. The words formed in my consciousness, not spoken, but known. Undeniable. I was becoming what I refused to change. I spent years telling people to transform, to evolve, to become better. But I never surrendered. I never died to myself. I never let God break me down and rebuild me. I just polished the outside and called it growth. And now I am here, in the place where all false transformation leads, where human effort is exposed as futility, where self-improvement is revealed as self-worship. The heat intensified. The pressure became unbearable. I felt like I was being crushed under the weight of every word I ever spoke, every video I ever posted, every person I ever influenced. The souls around me continued their endless striving, trapped in cycles I had helped create. I could not take it anymore. I had no voice, but my soul screamed anyway. Not a demand, not a negotiation, not a promise to do better, just a desperate, broken plea. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. The words repeated in my mind, over and over, the only truth I had left. And then silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of something else. The flame still burned. The soul still strained. But something shifted. The presence that had been beside me, showing me the truth, exposing my lies, it moved. Not away, closer. And for the first time since I arrived in this place, I felt something other than judgment. Something I did not deserve. Something I could not earn. Something I had spent my entire life trying to replace with my own effort. I felt mercy. I felt mercy. And in that moment of mercy, everything changed. The presence that had been showing me the truth, exposing every lie I ever believed, every false teaching I ever spread, it moved closer. and I felt something I had not earned, something I cannot work for, something all my discipline and effort and grinding could never produce. Grace. A hand reached through the flames. I did not see it with my eyes because I had no eyes, but I felt it. Strong, steady, undeniable. The kind of strength that does not come from a gym or a meal plan or a morning routine. The kind of strength that holds the universe together. The voice spoke again, and this time the words were not judgment. They were assignments. Your time is not finished. Relief flooded through me, but it was immediately followed by something heavier. Responsibility. You will return, but you will not return to continue what you were doing. I understood. This was not a second chance to build my brand bigger. This was not a testimony I could monetize. This was a mission. You will warn them. The weight of those words pressed into my soul. Tell them the truth you finally learned. Tell them that transformation comes through surrender, not self-effort. Tell them to stop trying to save themselves. I wanted to speak, to say yes, to promise I would do it, but I had no voice. All I could do was surrender. Completely. Fully. No negotiation. No conditions. Just yes. Whatever you want. However you want. I am yours. The hand gripped me. Not gently. Forcefully. Like pulling someone from a burning building. And suddenly I was moving. Upward. Fast. Violent. The heat that had been pressing down on me released all at once. The suffocating atmosphere lifted. The darkness that felt alive and intentional began to crack, like glass shattering under pressure. Light poured through the cracks. Blinding. Pure. I cannot look at it, but I cannot look away. The screams of the souls faded into the distance. The flames disappeared. The ash-covered ground vanished beneath me. Everything I had seen, everything I had experienced in that place, it was gone. And then everything went white. The pull stopped. The light consumed everything. And for one perfect, terrible, beautiful moment, there was nothing but silence and brightness. Then pain. Physical, crushing, unbearable pain. My chest exploded with pressure. Something hard slammed into my sternum, once, twice, 3 times. Air forced its way into my lungs, burning like fire. My heart jolted, stumbled, then caught rhythm. Sound rushed back. Voices. Machinery. Movement. I gasped, choked, coughed. My eyes flew open. Bright lights overhead. LED panels. White ceiling. Metal rails on either side of me. The smell of antiseptic and sweat. Cold vinyl beneath my back. Something plastic over my face. Oxygen. I tried to lift my hand, but it was too heavy. My entire body felt foreign, like I was wearing someone else's skin. A face appeared above me. A black woman in a dark blue uniform. Her hair pulled back tight, eyes wide with relief and exhaustion. Detroit EMS patch on her shoulder. He's back. We got a pulse. Another voice, male, from somewhere to my right. 11 minutes. I can't believe it. 11 minutes down. The woman leaned closer, her hand on my shoulder, firm but gentle. Sir, stay with me. You're okay. You're in the ambulance. We're taking you to Detroit receiving. You had a cardiac event. Your heart stopped, but you're back now. Just breathe. Nice and slow. I tried to speak. My throat was raw, like I had been screaming for hours. The words came out broken, barely a whisper. I have to. Warn them. She looked confused, glanced at her partner. Sir, just rest. Don't try to talk. Save your strength. But I cannot rest. The message was burning inside me, more urgent than the pain in my chest, more real than the oxygen mask on my face. I grabbed her wrist weakly, my fingers trembling. I saw it. I have to tell them. Her expression softened. She had probably heard a lot of things from people coming back from the edge. She nodded gently, the way you nod at someone who is not making sense but deserves compassion anyway. Okay, you'll tell them. But first, we need to get you stable. The ambulance hit a bump. I felt the jolt through my entire body. The siren wailed above me, piercing and constant. The male paramedic was talking into a radio, giving stats and codes I did not understand. My vision blurred, then cleared, then blurred again. I could still feel the heat of that place on my skin, even though I was cold now. I could still see the souls trapped in their cycles. I could still hear the voice. Warn them. I closed my eyes, not to sleep, but to hold on to what I had seen, to remember every detail. Because I knew the moment I got out of this ambulance, the moment I left that hospital, people would try to explain it away. Hallucination, oxygen deprivation, brain trauma. They would tell me it was not real. But it was real. More real than anything I had ever experienced. And I could not let the world convince me otherwise. The ambulance slowed, turned. The back doors flew open. Cold January air rushed in. I heard voices shouting, footsteps running, wheels rattling. They pulled me out, still strapped to the stretcher, and rushed me through automatic doors into the bright fluorescent lights of the emergency room. Doctors surrounded me. Nurses moved with precision. Machines beeped. Someone put IV on my arm. Someone else pressed a stethoscope to my chest. Questions came rapid fire. Can you hear me? Do you know your name? What day is it? Do you know what happened? I answered what I could, but my mind was somewhere else. I was still seeing it, still feeling it. The weight of the mission pressing down on me harder than the weight of hell ever did. I was alive. I did not deserve to be, but I was, and I had work to do. They kept me in the ICU for 3 days. Tests, scans, monitors beeping constantly. Doctors came in groups, shaking their heads, calling it a miracle. No brain damage, no lasting heart issues. 11 minutes without a pulse, and I woke up fully functional. They could not explain it. They kept using the word unprecedented. My mother came, my sister, a few friends from church. They cried, held my hand. Thank God I was alive. But I could barely speak to them, not because I was too weak, because I did not know how to explain what I had seen without sounding insane. On the second day, alone in my room, I pulled out my phone. It had been recovered from my apartment along with my belongings. 1,700 notifications. Messages asking if I was okay. People saying they were praying. My New Year Challenge group chat is blowing up with concern. But the first thing I did, I went to my Instagram. I looked at my last post. A video from January 2nd. Me smiling in my home gym, talking about discipline and commitment and showing up for yourself. 43,000 views. 1,200 comments telling me I inspired them. I deleted it. Then I deleted the one before that. And the one before that. I went through months of content, post after post, video after video, all of it preaching the same gospel of self-improvement. And I deleted all of it. Every single one. Then I opened my coaching program dashboard. 314 active members. People who had paid me to help them transform. I typed a message to all of them. My hands were shaking. I need to tell you something. I was wrong. Everything I taught you was wrong. I led you away from God by teaching you to trust yourself. I'm shutting down this program effective immediately. You'll receive full refunds within 7 days. I am sorry. I'm so sorry. I hit send before I could second guess it. Within an hour, my phone was exploding. Confusion, anger, people demanding explanations. Some thought I had lost my mind. Some thought the cardiac event had caused brain damage after all. A few, just a few, said they understood. On the 4th day, they released me from the hospital. I went home to my apartment. It looked exactly the same, but I was different. The ring light in my gym felt like a monument to pride. The meal prep containers in my fridge felt like idols. The vision board on my wall, I tore it down and threw it away. I did not film anything for 2 weeks. I just sat, prayed, read scripture without looking for content ideas, listened for God's voice instead of planning my next post. And slowly, painfully, I started to understand what real surrender felt like. But I could not stay silent. The mission was too urgent, the warning too important. 3 weeks after I died, I set up my phone on the tripod one more time. No ring light, no script, no editing plan. Just me, sitting on my couch, looking at the camera. I hit a record. My name is Darnell Thompson. 3 weeks ago, I died for 11 minutes. And what I saw changed everything. I told them, all of it. The descent, the souls trapped in cycles, the presence, the warnings, the truth about self-improvement culture and how it had infiltrated the church. The realization that I had been teaching people to trust themselves instead of God. I cried on camera. My voice broke multiple times. I did not care. This was not content. This was a confession. I posted it with no caption, no hashtags, no strategy. Within 24 hours, it had 7,000 views. Within a week, 60,000. But the numbers did not matter. What mattered were the messages. A woman named Keisha from Atlanta wrote, "I've been doing New Year's resolutions for 15 years. Every January I promise God I'll be better, and every February I fail. I thought something was wrong with me, but you just showed me. I was trying to save myself instead of letting Him save me. Thank you." A man named Marcus from Chicago. "I'm a pastor, and I've been preaching the exact same thing you were teaching. Vision boards, goal setting, claiming your year. I thought I was helping my congregation, but I just realized I've been leading them away from the cross. I need to repent." A college student named Jasmine. "I was about to quit church because I kept failing at being a better Christian. I thought God was disappointed in me because I couldn't keep my resolutions. But this just freed me. I don't have to be better. I have to surrender." The messages kept coming. Hundreds of them. People who had been exhausted from trying to transform themselves. People who thought they were failing God because they could not keep their promises. People who had replaced worship with willpower and wondered why they felt so empty. And I realized this was the mission, not to build a platform, not to grow a brand, but to tell the truth, to warn people, to point them back to the only source of real transformation. I started responding to every message, praying for people by name, offering not coaching but grace, not strategies but surrender. My income disappeared. My follower count dropped from 15,000 to 8,000. People unfollowed me because they did not want to hear about dying to self. They wanted tips and tricks and 5 steps to success. But the people who stayed, they were different. They were hungry for the truth, desperate for freedom, tired of performing. And I watched them encounter the same grace that pulled me out of hell. A man named Devin reached out 3 months later. He said he had been in my original coaching program. He said he left the church 2 years ago because he felt like a failure. But after watching my testimony, he went back. He met with his pastor. He confessed his pride. He surrendered. And he said for the first time in years, he felt peace. That is when I understood. This was not about me anymore. It was about them. The people who were trapped in the same cycle I had been trapped in. The people who were exhausted from trying to save themselves. The people who needed to hear that transformation is not something you achieve, it is something you receive. I'm still here, still telling the story, still warning people. I do not make money from it anymore. I work part-time at a warehouse to pay my bills. My apartment is smaller. My life is simpler. But my soul is alive in a way it never was when I was successful. And I will keep telling this story until the day I actually die for good. Because if even one person hears this and stops trusting themselves and starts trusting God, if even one person turns away from self-improvement and toward surrender, then everything I went through is worth it. So if you're hearing this, it is for a reason. Stop making New Year's resolutions rooted in your own effort. Stop believing you can transform yourself through discipline. Stop trusting your willpower more than God's grace. You cannot save yourself. No matter how hard you try, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how many goals you set, examine your heart today. Are you trusting yourself or trusting God? Are your prayers about blessing your plans or seeking His will? Is Jesus your Lord or just your life coach? Do not wait until it is too late to learn this. Do not wait until you are standing in that place, surrounded by the consequences of your choices, wishing you had surrendered sooner. Turn back now. Choose life. Choose surrender. Choose Him. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to pray for you tonight. Leave a comment. I will read every single one. And if this message convicted you, stay connected. There are more warnings people need to hear. More truths the enemy does not want revealed. Subscribe if you want to hear what God is really saying to His people. Watch the next testimony on your screen, because time is running out and the warnings are getting louder. Thank you for listening.